Hello, hello, and welcome to today's masterclass and Instagram live on spiritual colonialism and how to move with integrity and power. And I'm just gonna allow everyone to arrive and land for just a minute and really drop into our bodies and take a deep breath and letting go of anything that happened before that moment, washing off the day or washing off the night. In my case, it's the morning here. Letting go of anything that we have to do after, just to be fully present with today's class, to be able to receive what feels in alignment, to discern and release what does not feel in alignment. And to sit with an open heart and mind. Anchoring into Mother Earth. And receiving the light of Father Sky, the divine presence. Amen. All right. Beautiful. All right, so first of all, before I dive into this topic, I want to just briefly speak about what actually is spiritual colonialism, because many of us know the word colonialism and the context in which it has been used in the political context and on the different countries that have been taken over and exploited, and that word can then be applied to many different and in many different ways. And in the spiritual context, it is really, and generally also, it is really when we take something over without asking for permission, without honoring its origins, and making it ours, and then using it for our personal gain and benefit. So, just to clarify what this word and this expression means, or how I see it also. And in the last perhaps decade, there has been a lot of that spiritual colonialism happening with different teachings and in different areas of the spiritual path and of our practices. And I can just give you a couple of examples, and I'll also go a bit into them so that you can perhaps identify where you've been part of somewhere creating it, or where you have taken part in that, and just to open our eyes and bring some more clarity around that. And after that, I then am going to share on what we can do as an individual and also as a collective to shift out of that and to really create a new way that is in integrity and where we also lead from our true and genuine power. So, okay, let's start with, for example, the yogic teachings. And anyone who's been a deep practitioner of yoga and has explored that on a level from perhaps sitting for longer amounts of time, of months, with yogic masters, or visiting and living in ashram, or immersing oneself in those teachings of the non-duality and even the Buddhist teachings, knows the essence of those teachings and what they're about. And where do they lead us? They lead us, or they intend to lead us, into returning into the union within, with the divine, with love, with God, with whatever that means, piercing through the layers of our self-imposed and collectively imposed constructs, so that we can access that deeper truth that lives within us. And now when we look around the world, we see yoga and yoga and yoga everywhere, and it's like one of the most popular things. And you go into the gym and into the fitness, into the gym, and there's yoga, and everyone's offering yoga and yoga classes. And it's beautiful, because of course it is helping people on some level, perhaps where they're at. But when we look at what most people are using it for, it's using it for their own benefit, of perhaps wanting to have a healthier body, maybe to feel a little bit better. And even meditation, it's the same. It's like, do this guided meditation so you can feel a little bit better. And while that particular one, I feel it's not necessarily that it's been totally exploited and taken for one's own benefit, the people that teach that and bring that forth, because of course they want to also help others. But the essence of the teaching still has been lost. And there's so many people that are yoga practitioners, and if you would talk to them about unifying with the divine presence and piercing through the veil of the ego, or even ask them the question, what is and who is your true self, and who do you believe you are, they probably would think you're a little bit nuts, you know? And that's really the point. Is like the ancient wisdom and power of the teaching itself has been lost and has been extracted. And now it has become just that thing to make our body more healthy and to practice and to feel a little bit better. And that's it. And then taking that now a level and a layer deeper into the womb mysteries and into all the work that we can see out there currently around sacred sexuality, around the womb, around all of that. And I'm not saying that this applies to everyone who's talking and working with this energy. Obviously not. There are some incredible people sharing incredible truth and wisdom. And I personally have been initiated on this path since many years and practicing that and working with that on a very deep level. So and in the same time it continuously keeps deepening and opening and expanding. So I see where it has taken me and what the essence is in those teachings. And when we look in the online space, a lot of that is being used again for our personal gain. Like, activate the power of your womb so you can magnetize everything you want. Practice sexuality so that you can have better orgasms and feel better and feel in more pleasure and attract more clients. And while, yes, this is a beautiful byproduct that we perhaps also want to attract into our lives. Of course, yes, of course, we want to live in more pleasure and have better orgasms and all that, and it's incredible. But when we then forget what the essence of the sacredness and the power of our womb was truly about, which really, when we look at the ancient teachings of the goddess and the ancient mysteries that were taught to us in the priestess schools, it was always, again, about that higher and greater and deeper union with the divine, and to use that power of the womb to unlock all the different blockages and also unlock our energy centers, our chakras, use that Shakti to allow the energy to flow, to support us, to allow the emotions to flow, to open our hearts so that we can then be that vessel that illuminates and radiates that light of divinity and of love and serves from that way. And then, yes, we will attract more attention or clients or whatever, however we want to call it. But it's not even about that anymore. It's about that deep alignment and that divine service and that surrender and that devotion and that deeper and greater union. And then all the orgasm that we wanted, and the more pleasure and the more money and all those things, they don't become our number one thing anymore that we chase because we believe we need them, because we want to fill a lack. And I feel that that's very often lost in the online space. We talk all about pleasure and we talk all about orgasms and the power and the magnetism of our womb, but the essence of what that vortex is here to create on its highest potential is not that often mentioned, or is mentioned on a sideline because maybe it's not that attractive and maybe it doesn't is not the desire point of people. But at the end of the day, what we speak about and the truths that we reveal around those things is going to help people to then also look deeper into the layers of it and perhaps shift their desires around it, because people have those desires because that's what's sold. It's sold that, yeah, you have to have all these clients and you have to have multiple orgasms and you have to have all these things, and then you are amazing and then you are a goddess. And then a woman that maybe hasn't truly tapped into her power, that maybe don't even know about that and what it actually means and how it feels like, she's like, oh yeah, maybe I need that in order to finally feel fulfilled. And here we are. No, the essence has been extracted, and only the byproduct has now turned into the thing. And it's colonized. It's fully colonized. That whole teaching, that whole divine truth, that and the power that it holds. And then the power is just used for personal gain and manipulation, and it's so limiting. And again, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't use it for that at all, or that it's not gonna happen. Yes, of course, let's also do that. We need that. We need money, we need clients, we want to feel incredible, we want to feel amazing in order to create that shift that we are creating, but let's not forget the essence. And then another example, and I don't want to go into too many different areas, but I want to touch into those both because I do feel they are important. And so anyway, the other example is also with plant medicines. And I've been initiated, or rather say I have worked with my first, I had my first ceremony 11 years ago, and then after that just been guided by the medicine and eventually been initiated with the medicines, and I've sat with the elders in the Amazon jungle, and then after only at the beginning holding space in a way that I was cleaning up people's mess and I was taking them to the toilets and to the bathrooms and all that, eventually I was then also asked to co-facilitate and to then hold the ceremonies, or hold rather retreats, not only ceremonies. And that happened after perhaps 7 years or so working with the medicines, learning the different teachings, honoring the traditions. And nowadays we go out there and we see people who have been in, a couple of months in Peru, or I lived there, and then going out and going ahead and serving the medicine. And I don't even want to go now too much into what friction and trauma that can create if one hasn't been trained, but just that's one simple thing that I find that matches more to the topic of colonization, is taking the medicine first of all from their original, from where it's from, and then taking it without true permission, without having received that initiation, serving it in another land without also asking for permission from the land and from the elders, because honestly everyone can ask permission from the land and say, yes, the land gave me permission, and it's like, maybe it didn't, but so. And I think that's also something that's very important, where we do things in a rightful way, and maybe it will take a little longer. Yeah, because everything has its divine timing, but we are too impatient. We don't want to wait. We just want to take it and do it and put our spin on it and give 50 people the medicine and that's it, And I mean, again, I don't want to go too much into all the karma that it also creates, and many people that came to us came from also traumatized experiences and ceremonies, because there hasn't been that rightful rites of passage of honoring the lineages, and then of also being really trained in how to hold space. And again, it cuts off the root of that medicine, and it cuts off the lineage. And I'm also going to go, just shortly, I'm going to talk about how we can integrate both parts, because yes, we are living in a new paradigm now, so it doesn't have to be all exactly the same as it used to be. And then I just want to, just briefly also going, I don't feel I need to talk too much about it, because there's been a lot of talk already about it, and a lot of things are revealing. It's that coaching industry where, again, it has all become about money and how many clients are you signing and this and that. And the other day I saw a post from a woman that was showing how much money she had made every month the last year with the exact number. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you show us how many people you have served and how many people have transformed their life through your work? Not how many clients you signed, but how many people have truly experienced a transformation that were committed to your work every month. Why don't you show us that? And why don't you speak more about that rather than how much money you've made? And I get it, yes, money is important and we all love money, but if, again, we're using it to make that the point rather than, well, actually mentoring and coaching, wasn't it about helping people to, lead a better life and to reclaim their power and to perhaps also reunite with their divine essence and with their soul's purpose and all of that? Wasn't it about that? Why has it become now about a whole thing of continuously chasing clients and all of that? And again, it's been colonized on some level. I mean, so I don't need to go deeper into it, because I feel there's a lot being revealed, which I think it's great. And again, everything that I'm sharing now, it doesn't apply to the entire industry and to everyone who's teaching it, but there are a lot of people who are not honoring that rightful way. And when I say the rightful way, what I mean by that is then in accordance to the divine law and in alignment with our true higher divine calling, and that is always going to be of service to the whole, not only of service to the self. All right. So, and let me know, anyone, if you have any comments, any questions, if you would like to add anything to it, just pop them here in the chat. Also, if you're watching the replay, you're welcome to put that into here. I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, so now I want to move into the next part, which is perhaps a little more illuminating and empowering. That is about how can we shift out of that and what is needed. Because let's face it, we are living in a new way. We are in 2023, and maybe not everything is as it used to be 200 years ago, and we don't have all the capacity always and the facility to always do everything in that exact same way that it used to be done traditionally. And even if we look at the yogic teachings and like look at the great yogis, Ramana Maharshi or Nanda Maima, that the way how they've been living and how they've been taught, it's from 100 years ago, and we are in a different time now. So how should we move forward with that? You know, even if we look at the womb mysteries, and back in the priestess temples, it was very different than it's now. So how can we bring those ancient teachings into the modern way and bring in that frequency and energy of the modern mystic? Which is, first of all, by honoring the ancient teaching. By honoring, and if you yourself are a practitioner of the womb mysteries or of yoga or so on, go ahead and really study about it, and not only study about it, but also sit with it and allow it to integrate and embody, so that you can hold that. And even if maybe you are, a teacher of yoga in a fitness studio, because you hold those codes, you will bring that light and illumination to the people that just sit with you. And you may say a couple of words and you plant some seeds, and that's already amazing, And then honoring that ancient way and bringing it into the new way, into how we're working with it. For example, when we work with the mysteries and the teachings of the womb, yes, it is so true that the power of our womb and the magnetism of our feminine presence becomes that pillar and becomes that vortex of light that brings in the things that we call for, that we need, that our soul desires in order to live in that higher alignment and soul's purpose. And sometimes those things may be things we don't even want, but we need. So yes, to talk about that, to illuminate the truth around that, but to also honor and bring it back to that simple truth, what it is about. And it's not about being naked on Instagram with all the roses around, even though that's beautiful and I have photos like that, but it is really about tapping into our inner beauty and radiance and power, and anchor in that alignment with it. So it's so important, so important. And I believe that when we can do that, and especially as we're moving forward into a more technology and all this avatar photos coming up, and all of this is coming up, and we're like being consumed more and more by technology. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just what's happening. If we can keep the seed of the ancient wisdom and the essence of the truth within us, and the beauty is that the seed and the wisdom of the ancient teaching is always going to be the same. It's never going to change. It's timeless. It's timeless, and it's always going to apply. Just the way how we practice it may then shift, and it may be different. But we want to keep the seed. We want to keep, and that seed is not only a seed, it's really the flower, it's that light. We want to keep that. And then we can decorate it and make it the way we feel also inspired by, and put our ways into it, like when my beloved and I were holding retreats, plant medicine retreats, we honor the ancient way, and we work with the Shipivos, and we listen to their Icaros, and then I would also channel some sounds and tones and transmissions that come through me and bringing them in. And we would also work with dismantling the layers of the ego and of the postmodern mind and of our conditioning from the Western world that is very different to the conditioning of the local and native people. And that's why we could make it a beautiful alchemy and a beautiful collaboration, because we know that maybe something else and something more is needed, because when it's only their transmission, it may not always be enough, especially when someone is extremely traumatized and needs more trauma-informed support. But we don't just push the essence and the ancientness of where this medicine comes from away, right? We bring both of them in, and that's what makes it so beautiful, and that's what makes it so integrated, and what really makes it from the heart, and really just makes it right. It makes it in alignment with the natural law. And also, that's when we are working again together with the greater cosmos and with everything that's around us. And if you believe it or not, if we don't, and if we always come from that separate space and we want to just serve ourselves, or we want to have the thing, and we're coming from lack, sometimes even without knowing it, we on some level create karma for ourselves, and we propel the karma for the land. So if we want to really shift into a new paradigm, let's do it with so much joy and dance and laughter, with all our creative beauty and abundance and expression. But let's also honor that way of the elders and bring that in, and respect that and practice that inside ourselves. So yeah, that is really the main way on how to shift that. And then also it is, again, coming it back just to ourselves, when we descend into our lower realm, into our darkness, into our womb, into our shadow, all of that, and allow ourselves to go there and heal and really feel our emotion, feel where we've created separation, feel where we are still holding judgment, and all of that. When we can do that inner work, which takes so much courage and it takes so much discernment and discipline, we naturally align ourselves with a higher truth. We align ourselves with our soul's calling and with our soul's desire. And then, as being a product of all the desires and of everything that is being put upon us, what we think we should do or what we think we need and so on, that just naturally chips away, because there's not so much lack anymore, there's not that separation anymore, and there are also not all those thoughts that we don't even know if they're ours or not ours, that are creating so many stories and emotions that keep creating continuous patterns but there's just that pure, silent presence, which is our soul. And we become unfettered from the old story. And then when we are in alignment with that soul, we don't even have to go out and ask, what should I do? How should I do it? How can I honor the ancient way? And da-da-da. It is going to become our second nature. Because first of all, that intelligence lives inside us. And second, the divine is going to guide us to the right people that are going to show us and that are going to teach us and that are going to remind us. And because we have chipped away the layers of the ego and of judgment, we are actually going to be able to be in that receptivity and understand, oh yes, this is important. And even though I know so many things and I have practiced all these things and learned all these things, but what this person says is important, and I'm going to take that on. And we have that level of humility while we also hold our power and our truth. And this is when we can walk in full integrity, not only with our inner truth and teachings, but with the truth of the cosmos and with the truth of the divine and with the truth of all of life. And the more of us can do that, the more we naturally come into coherence and into harmony with one another. It happens naturally. You don't need to try. It's not something that the mind does. The mind is a wonderful servant, and it's beautiful, and the identity and all of that we can experience through it, it's incredible. But we're not gonna think our way into it. We're not gonna think our way into unity consciousness. It naturally is going to happen, and that's the beauty. So it's really boiling it down back to the foundation of doing our inner shadow work and of diving through the layers. And sometimes it can be tricky because we don't always see our blind spots, and we don't always have that courage to step into the radical honesty to look at them. And perhaps sometimes we feel quite comfortable with some of our patterns and some of our layers, and that's why we don't really want to pierce through them, because they're still serving us. So that is why I have created a journey and an initiation for you. And that journey, that initiation, is a one-on-one journey that goes for 12 weeks. And in that journey, we are going to systematically dive through the different layers of your conditioning, of your programming. We're starting to look at your external reality, what's happening in your external reality, how's that making you feel, what's happening in your mind. We look at all of that, we analyze it. I use a lot of kind of psycho-spiritual tools to analyze the mind and the different voices and so on. And then we go deeper into that womb frequency and the work of the womb and the shadow work, and deeper into really feeling the raw emotions and just letting them flow and opening our higher and fuller potential with that and through that, and feeling the power and allowing that power to sometimes also destroy us. But because it is in that one-on-one beautiful container, you are contained, you are being held safe, you're being held in a pristine energy, so that first of all, that work can go deeper, the work can go faster, and we'll make sure that nothing is kind of looked away from, and that we pierce through the blind spots, because that is also one of my gifts. When I work with people, I see the layers, and I don't always mention them from the beginning, but when the time is there and the moment is there, I will say it. Sometimes it can bring discomfort, but it's perfect, because that's when we can pierce through the layer. And that's where sometimes when we do it alone, it may take much longer, it may take more effort, and it also may take more karma in our lives, meaning situations and events and all those reflections, and another partner in a relationship that was like abusive or so on. But when we do it in a container, yes, it's also going to be intense because things is going to come up, but there is that support, and I will be holding that support for you. And there's also the weekly WhatsApp support. So we are not only doing sessions, but we're also doing weekly WhatsApp support, and we are also doing somatic embodiment practices, and you're also getting homework. So there are all those different things for you to take in with you while we are not in session, that your transformation can be really recalibrated on a somatic, physical, and level of your DNA. And then from that space, naturally, you step into deeper alignment. And that's something that we also do more towards the end, where we do that rewiring, where we do that activating of your higher calling. And it's not that we just go in and activate it. It activates by itself when you are ready and when you have peeled back all the layers. So you're like, oh, okay, I can actually see now what it is, and where that you can descend and incarnate in higher aspects of your soul and of your divinity, can incarnate into your body and living and leading in alignment with the divine and the goddess. And I feel very inspired in doing this work with women, because as women we hold so much power in our wombs and in our heart and in that archetype, and men also. But there's just something very special about doing this with a sister and going in such a deep level and layer. So if this is something that you feel activated by, that you feel called to do, as I said, it's a 12-week one-on-one journey with me, with a lot of different tools that you will receive, sessions, one-on-one obviously with me, somatic embodiment practices, guided meditations, live one-on-one energy transmissions and alignment and healings, because I also work on a psychic and clairvoyant level. And the WhatsApp support, I have that at the moment at $2,997 US, which is an incredible price for that offer. And I've chosen to keep it at that price for now, because I just want to give that to the people, and I want to make it most accessible to the people while also honoring my needs and my energy in that. So that is what felt the most alignment, and honestly, it's incredible for a 3-month one-on-one container. So let me know if that's something you feel activated and inspired by. Just send me a private message, or you can make a comment on here and I'll get back to you on that, to go deeper together. And also, if you are not really sure yet, or you're not ready to commit financially, or you can't, or you have something particular that you're working on right now that you just want to pierce through, there's just that one thing, I have recently opened up to one-on-one sessions that are $222 US, and they are 90 minutes. They're also incredibly powerful, incredibly transformational, and I have done some single sessions, and it's incredible to see the shift and the transformation that people get from that. So this is my offerings. These are my offerings to you, beloved. If you choose to do this work in a more contained way, if you choose to do it faster, if you choose to do it deeper, then I highly recommend it. And also, at the end of the day, yes, we can all do it ourselves, and life is continuously guiding us, and if we are living in alignment with the divine, we are going to be guided into the right space, to the right people. And that's also something important to honor, and to know that you don't have to work with a mentor. Like, it's not like you need that in order to transform. You can also do it by yourself, but sometimes it can be an incredible and beautiful gift to yourself, an incredible, beautiful way of practicing self-love and of supporting yourself to allow that. I personally love it. I love to work with mentors, and I also love to work with just life, having both there is, a really, really beautiful gift. And at the end of the day, I would feel deeply humbled and honored to be able to serve you on this journey. It's my greatest joy, and it's my greatest gift that I feel I can give to the people right now where we at. And if you feel inspired by this work, if you feel inspired by this masterclass, please share it. If you have any questions to any of the topics today, please pop them into the comments. You can also send me a private message if you're popping in late or have popped in later. You can watch this. I'm going to post it now. And if you want to stay in touch, please follow and please join my newsletter community. You can find the link in my bio under the download of the 33-minute energy alignment, and then with that you'll also join my community, and that's where I'll also share a lot of beautiful magic. All right, so I hope this was eye-opening and inspiring to you, and I'm sending you a lot of love. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. So much love and namaste. Bye.